Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Today is Friday, ahead of a big weekend for Wimbledon. Naturally, got the All-Star break coming up on Sunday, Home Run Derby Monday, All-Star game, and lots to get to with training camp around the corner in the National Football League, not to mention the finals coming up this weekend here in my hometown of Copa America. A very expensive ticket. We'll get to that in just a minute coming up a little bit later in the show. But thanks for tuning in as we get ready to review everything happening in sports. We got some great guests for you here on the show. Gilbert McGregor will join us. And, of course, guest contributor from Legal Sports Report is Jim Gazzali, who will join us on the show as well. And also, of course, talk some tennis. So stay on the grid for us every day, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern, covering the world of sports and sports wagering, no doubt. We'll start off with, as we anticipate, the All-Star game on Tuesday. Did we get the final stamp of approval yesterday for National League All-Star starter? Torey Lovullo has a very tough decision to make because rookie Paul Skeens did it again. And by doing what? He's breaking all kinds of records in Major League Baseball for his first handful of starts. 7 no-hit innings and was removed from the game yesterday as Paul Skeens has just basically been the best pitcher in baseball since he's been called up since May. He is the overwhelming favorite to win the Rookie of the Year over on the FanDuel Sportsbook. He is now approaching potentially becoming in the mix for the National League Cy Young as well. Meanwhile, Skeens, after the game, talked about throwing the 7 no-hit innings and asked, of course, if he wanted to stay in the game to complete it.
I think that's kind of just where we're at in the season. Just being able to use all my weapons and attack with them and trust them. Probably a little bit more than earlier in the season. But yeah, just in a good spot.
Paul, was there any part of you that wanted to go back out?
Yeah, I mean, definitely wanted to finish it, but throwing every 6 days, 5 days, whatever it is now, definitely understand that side of it.
It's an incredible start to a season for any pitcher, but let alone the kind of start that Skeens has had. Right now, he's got some competition to start in the All-Star game, but as I'll tell you in a minute, one of those pitchers potentially will be out of the mix. So let's get to our baseball headlines. As the Cubs sweep the Orioles, but Cody Bellinger goes on the injured list in the process. This will complicate any potential trade if the Cubs decide to make one. Now, remember, the Cubs still under 500 this season, but beating up on the Orioles tells you that they still have some fight left. We'll see what happens as we come down the stretch in July and August. Meanwhile, the Dodgers are having a hard time at the hands of the Philadelphia Phillies. They complete the sweep yesterday as Philadelphia is playing their best baseball of the season, even despite having some injuries over the course of the year. And meanwhile, what will the Dodgers do? They probably need to find some extra starting pitching. As of right now, they have 4 starters from the beginning of the season out of the 5 on the injured list, and one of the others just got sent to the minors, and Bobby Miller. So look for the Dodgers to make a trade at the deadline as well. Also, the Houston Astros, who were in the mix to win the American League every year, looks like this year is no different. The Astros have swept the Marlins. They've won 9 straight games at home, and all of a sudden, over on FanDuel, they're creeping into the favorite position to become the winner of the division in the American League West. Didn't think that would happen a month or two ago. Also, as I mentioned, this is the story. Zach Wheeler from the Philadelphia Phillies is skipping his Sunday start due to the back injury that he had earlier in the week. Now, naturally, he's part of the All-Star game on Tuesday night and was the projected starter for the National League. So when the manager of the NL, Torey Lovullo, makes his decision, it could come down to Paul Skeens or maybe Shoto Imanaga from the Chicago Cubs. Tough decision to make, and we'll get that over the weekend. All right, some great stuff happening over at Wimbledon finals on Saturday and Sunday. We'll have it covered for you exclusively here on SportsGrid. Right now, Carlos Alcaraz is taking on Medvedev, so naturally on Scott Farrell's show later today, we'll give you the finals. 3 o'clock Eastern, tell you exactly what's going on. And also, Lorenzo Musetti will take on Novak Djokovic. Looks like it could potentially be a Djokovic-Alcaraz final, which is what everybody wants. But, not guaranteed. We'll see what happens today and then tomorrow. Barbara Krejcikova will take on Yasmin Paolini. That is tomorrow's women's final. Again, tomorrow morning, tune into SportsGrid. We'll have it covered for you. Also, with Greg Berhalter being out as the U.S. men's head soccer coach, they're looking for replacements, and Jurgen Klopp is unlikely to take the job. He said he wants to take 12 months off from management after spending 9 years with Liverpool, so the U.S. will continue to look for a new manager/head coach. Does not look like it will be Klopp. Also, with the National Football League being sued and ordered to pay out billions of dollars in damages because of NFL Sunday Ticket, Roger Goodell yesterday basically said, of course, we don't agree with this jury verdict, and also said it's a long process. We're aware of that, but we feel very strongly about our position and our policies, particularly in the media. He said that yesterday on CNBC. There's a post-trial motion hearing on July 31st. I know a lot of you who paid for a Sunday NFL Ticket will be looking for some sort of payout here. Again, the NFL would have to come to an agreement that that is indeed the case. It doesn't like it's going to happen anytime soon. Bill Belichick not going to coach in the NFL this season. He's joining Inside the NFL. It is on the CW. He's also going to be part of the Pat McAfee show with NFL draft coverage. And he's been on their show before, probably going to be on their show some more this season. Naturally, he's on the Manning cast, which he announced as well. So it looks like 3 different spots for Bill Belichick in the media this upcoming season. All right, more of the same in terms of college athletes getting paid. Another appeals court has ruled that college athletes are indeed employees and can be paid. When their efforts are primarily to benefit their schools, they qualify as employees deserving of pay under federal wage and hour laws. This is from a U.S. appeals court ruling Thursday. NCAA, of course, doesn't want this to happen. The court said that a test should be developed to differentiate between the students who play college sports for fun and for those who actually cross the legal line into work. Good luck figuring that out. In the WNBA, the New York Liberty, they and the Aces are expected to play for the finals this year. They're the favorites. They beat the Chicago Sky 91-76 yesterday. Angel Reese, the double-double streak, now at 15 games for her. Also in tonight's WNBA action, we have the Las Vegas Aces taking on the Atlanta Dream, the Phoenix Mercury, a small favorite, taking on the Indiana Fever, and tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, it is the Minnesota Lynx taking on the Seattle Storm. Also some sad news from both college and pro football. Monty Kiffin, the father, of course, of Lane Kiffin, and Monty Kiffin, really the inventor of the way that teams play defense, known as the Tampa 2, spent 50 years coaching in the NFL, passed away at the age of 84. Kiffin, known as one of the most inventive minds in the history of the NFL when it comes to defense. Also, Bronny James expected to make his debut. The Lakers taking on the Rockets in Summer League games. And we'll talk about all of that coming up next with Gilbert McGregor from Sporting News as we dive into the latest. And by the way, believe it or not, you can bet on these Summer League games. I mean, is it this? Is it spring training? Is there anything more silly to bet on than Summer League games in the NBA? I have no idea. Rockets are favored in this. I hope Gilbert, I want Gilbert to give me his opinion on betting on Summer League games, not just the games themselves, but tell me whether or not you should really be doing this. Anyway, download the SportsGrid app, folks. As I mentioned, tomorrow we got some great programming for Wimbledon, also on Sunday as well. So if you want to learn more about how to bet on tennis, the odds, who could potentially win, what times the matches start, early in the morning, Saturday, breakfast at Wimbledon, of course, coming up this weekend, download the SportsGrid app. It's available for iOS and Android. Take out your phone there. You can also scan that code and you can watch our shows from your phone. If you're streaming us right now, let's say on one of those free TV sites like a Samsung or a Vizio, you know what I'm talking about. You're watching right now, you came across a channel, you hit play. You can also do it on your phone or on your iPad, Android, anything that you decide to watch us on. The SportsGrid app, folks, it's completely free. It doesn't cost you a thing. Download it now. It is available. As I mentioned, we'll break down the NBA coming up next. Gilbert McGregor with Sporting News. Bronny James on the court to score 10-plus points. You can bet on that too today. Would you do it? Gilbert will tell us next.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early
The
line.
magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
NewsWire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Do you believe Diggs will come up big with Stroud or be the disappointment that he was with Allen in the last, year?
It's not all on Diggs as it was with the Bills. So he only needs to be a secondary piece. Remember now, he's in his 30s, Pharrell. He's in the back nine of his career. They don't need him to be super. They just need him to do a good job.
Pharrell coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I mean, here's the question. I know hockey players are pretty superstitious. Do they start to ask themselves the question of being like, we signed Corey Perry? We did what?
No.
We signed Corey Perry? Good news, boys. We're going to the Cup Finals. Bad news, boys. We're losing.
At some point, you got to win one for Corey, right?
I guess
Get on
so.
the team and like, wow, this guy, we gotta win one here.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. You ready for some Summer League NBA action and potentially seeing LeBron James go off in a Lakers uniform? Will that happen today? Let's bring in Gilbert McGregor from Sporting News. Gilbert, this is one of those deals where I guess I remember that the odds are there to bet on some of these Summer League games, but I mean, talk about trying to handicap something. Like, this feels like spring training, Like, I mean, the preseason football may be easier to handicap than this. Thanks for coming on. I don't know. I mean, we're going to analyze it, but I don't know how they made these lines or these totals. What are they basing this on?
It's interesting. You talk about the Lakers. They've played a few Summer League games, so I think people have gotten a little bit of an idea of what to expect from this summer Lakers team. But at the end of the day, it's really unpredictable. You have no idea what the coaches' incentives are going to be in this game, how long they plan on playing their main players. Do they plan on going deep in the bench? So it really feels like an inexact science that varies from matchup to matchup.
Yeah, no, it does. And today, for example, the Rockets are taking on the Lakers, and the Rockets are 6.5-point favorites in Vegas. The totals are a lot lower here. Okay, so that makes some sense here because I understand the talent isn't going to be the same as it is in the NBA. You can't have totals of 200. So feel free, Gilbert, to tell me why the Rockets are 6.5-point favorites and potentially if there's any side to take today.
I mentioned the Lakers showing. They played in the California Classic Summer League in San Francisco, and they went 0-3. They had some good moments, but also a lot of down moments as well. So I'm assuming that based on that and the Rockets having a pretty talented roster with number 3 overall pick Reed Shepherd and also Cam Whitmore actually going out there who's had impactful moments on the actual NBA stage, that gives them a little bit of an edge. This is a primetime matchup, and as we know, Lakers games in Las Vegas are massive events. And this is Bronny James' debut. So there's going to be a lot of attention and a lot of eyes on that Lakers team. Maybe they'll shine under the bright light. Maybe they'll shy away from it. So I trust the Rockets a little more in this one just because they have a few more veterans who have done more in actual NBA games than the Lakers do.
All right, that's fair. Now, there are some other props that you can bet on today in this Summer League game, and to score 10-plus points, there's a couple of bets that you really can't make here, I guess. Dalton Connect, and that's not a bettable prop. Neither is Reed Shepherd, to be honest with you, with Houston. So the only thing, I guess, to hit on here, not that I want to spend 10 minutes with you on Bronny James, but I guess that's where we are. He's plus 225 to score 10-plus points. He did not average 10-plus points at USC. Can he get to 10 today?
That's a tough one, Craig. He's actually hasn't even combined for 10 points just yet in these summer league games. That's not even to give him a hard time. He was very aggressive in his summer league debut, looking for his own shot, but just really hasn't found his way. And I think he's looking to kind of find his spot in this. It's kind of a strange balance between needing to create for himself and play off of others. It's hard to see a way that he gets to 10 points today, unless he gets hot from beyond the arc. And that would very much be a storybook way for his summer league debut to go in Las Vegas. So unless he can find a way to hit 3 or 4 3-pointers, I don't really see that happening.
Okay. Now, as far as 3 points made, that's our next opportunity here, as you see there. Shepard is minus 102. Connect is plus 174. So you novices out there, if Connect hits 3+ threes and you bet 100, you win 174. Some people don't understand odds, so there's that breakdown. And man, 5.5 to 1 for Bronny James. Can Bronny hit 3? We can all go home happy.
That would be definitely something that would make everyone happy. I do like Dalton Connect there. He looked really good in their most recent summer league game. I think he's kind of settling into his own as a reason that he was the SEC player of the year. And he is a guy who benefits from being a 5-year guy in college. So he's a little more developed, a little more mature than a lot of the guys he's going to be playing against tonight. So if he gets going, I could see him having a good night from beyond the arc.
All right. Now, maybe a more anticipated matchup, to be honest, would be the one between the Hawks and the Wizards, because at least you have the number 1 and number 2 pick facing off later today. And the Wizards are 3.5-point favorites over the Atlanta Hawks. The total is 177. And Risa Shea, of course, from Atlanta, he's going to probably play in this game. Sarr, I would imagine, would play as well. When you look at this matchup here, I don't think it's like player versus player, so to speak, but I think that a lot of eyeballs will be on this game.
Absolutely. I would say it's storyline versus storyline. There was a lot of reports that Sarr wanted no parts with the situation in Atlanta, and now he and his fellow Frenchmen get to go head-to-head and really see who deserved to be number 1, when in reality we won't learn that from this game. I do like the Wizards in this one. The Hawks are going to be without Kobe Buffkin, who was their first-round pick from last year, and he would have given them that edge as a guy who's actually had a year of NBA experience under his belt. I think Risa Shea is going to struggle a little bit, honestly. I think he's going to be the type of player that benefits from having more talent around him, and he just won't in this summer league game. So I like the Wizards. I like to see a nice performance from Sarr as well.
All right, let's go to the Rookie of the Year odds. I want to take a look at those with you, Gilbert, here, because I think that these are sort of fascinating, because you usually see like a Wemby, a 3-1 or something like that. You don't have anyone. It's sort of wide open going into the year. And Zach Edey's the more polished player, so he is the favorite. Sarr and Risa Shea are both about 7.5 to 1. I'm just not really sure, how much playing time they're going to get at the beginning of the season. Connect is there. Reed Shepard, I think he's going to play quite a bit. Do you take a player with a little bit more pedigree from college coming in, Gilbert? Is that fair, or do you simply think that one of these first 2 picks could win it?
In this year, I think you do take somebody like Zach Edey. I think Dalton Connect will actually get a little bit of a Lakers boost, but I'm unsure what type of role he's going to have with that team to start the season. I think Zach Edey, we saw from him, National Player of the Year this past season, led his team to the national championship game. He's going to really benefit from playing alongside the veterans in Memphis. But if any year it's worth taking a shot on somebody who's a little more of a long shot, like a Buzelis or a Stefan Castle, it'd be this year, because it really does feel like this race is wide open.
All right, real quick, Gilbert, before we go, there's a lot of discussion, and I'm going to hit on this next. Grant Hill talked about why Derek White made the Team USA over Jaylen Brown. I mean, simply put, is this just like matchup based? I know a lot of people are questioning why White is on the team.
It does. It feels matchup based. I mean, Jaylen Brown wouldn't be a 1-for-1 replacement for Kawhi, but feels a little bit closer. But I think the idea with Derek White is that he can slide in to a role that he played similar with the Celtics and just play off of the superstar talent present on Team USA.
All right, great stuff, Gilbert. As always, have a good weekend. We'll catch up again next week. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend.
All right, Gilbert McGregor, sportingnews.com. Coming up next, this is SportsGrid Sound Off. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. your 24/7 sports wagering network. The Early Line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
NewsWire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Do you believe Diggs will come up big with Stroud or be the disappointment that he was with Allen in the last, year?
It's not all on Diggs as it was with the Bills. So he only needs to be a secondary piece. Remember now, he's in his 30s, Pharrell. He's on the back nine of his career. They don't need him to be super. They just need him to do a good job.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
I mean, here's the question. I know hockey players are pretty superstitious. Do they start to ask themselves the question of being like, we signed Corey Perry? We did what?
No.
We signed Corey Perry? Good news, boys. We're going to the Cup Finals. Bad news, boys. We're losing.
At some point, you got to win one for Corey, right?
I guess
Get
so.
on the team and like, wow, this guy, we gotta win one here.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. A month from now, we'll be knee-deep into the NFL's training camp. And, of course, we'll also be knee-deep into the NFL preseason. The first game of the NFL preseason, the Hall of Fame game, is on August 1st. It's the earliest start time ever. I know a lot of Jets fans are very excited because it's going to be another opportunity to see Aaron Rodgers potentially play in a Jets uniform. Of course, that did not last very long last season. And also, many people thought that when Aaron Rodgers left Green Bay, he would be paired up again with his former wide receiver, Davante Adams. And a very interesting comment that Rodgers made yesterday, essentially saying that he wouldn't mind being paired up again.
What's up? Do you think Luke Getsy's going to utilize Davante Adams good in the new Raiders offense?
I love Luke Getsy. He's a fantastic coach.
Awesome.
I love Davante. I can't wait to play with him again.
Great. Love to hear it.
Yeah.
How's your game today? How you hitting him?
Good. Harrison's playing really well.
Is he?
He's a little shy, but just trying to get him out of his shell.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going good.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
All right.
Read into that what you will. I mean, as far as I know, Davante Adams is still, a member of the Raiders. Did I miss something here? Is he on the New York Jets going into the season? Maybe there's something that we don't know, but that's definitely stirring the pot, to say the least. I guess stay tuned. Aaron Rodgers usually says things that are impactful, at least tries to say things that are impactful. Maybe we don't know something that's about to come down the pipeline. We'll find out this weekend and next week. All right, next topic of discussion, of course, the NBA's Summer League. Gilbert and I just broke down several games. Of course, we have the debut here of Bronny James. We also have the number 1 and number 2 picks going at it against each other. Our very own Kevin Walsh gives us a preview.
Summer is heating up, and I don't think anywhere is hotter right now than Las Vegas. We'll see if that continues to heat up with the NBA Summer League getting underway. On Friday, we see a couple of big-time matchups. Zach Edey, the new favorite to win Rookie of the Year with some of his performances that we saw over in the Utah Summer League. Getting him that position will be in action. But we will also see the top 2 picks go head-to-head in Risache for Atlanta and Sarr for Washington. If either guy has a big game, it absolutely could move that market. On Saturday, we have the UConn battle with Spurs Blazers, with Stephon Castle and Donovan Clingan going head-to-head. And a little bonus item to keep eyes on is Brandon Miller, the sophomore now for the Charlotte Hornets, expected to play. If he gets a full allotment of minutes, 25 points should be no problem. Craig, back to you.
All right, thanks, Kevin. We'll catch Kevin, of course, all weekend long here on SportsGrid. Meanwhile, we will not catch Jaylen Brown at the NBA's Olympics. Some discussion as to whether or not Brown's discussion about Nike previously may have left him off Team USA. Grant Hill, who's in charge of the process, says it has nothing to do with it.
This is about putting together a team. And I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because I think just overall, you have incredible interest from, an abundance of talent that we have here in the United States. And I've talked a little bit about when we assembled this roster. You can't, you get 12 spots. You have to build a team. And one of the hardest things is leaving people off the roster that I'm a fan of, that I look forward to watching throughout the season, throughout the playoffs. Guys who've been finals MVPs, guys who've been a part of the program, guys who've won gold medals, guys who I respect, admire, and enjoy watching. But the responsibility that I have is to put together a team, and a team that complements each other, a team that fits, a team that will give us the best opportunity for success.
I think that's fair from Grant Hill. But the other question that you probably have to ask is, isn't Jaylen Brown more similar to Kawhi Leonard than Derek White is? I think it's probably a fair question to ask. But Team USA, they certainly have their reasons. To think that because of comments that he made about Nike previously have something to do with it, I think that's a little bit far-fetched. But needless to say, it's a done deal. Unless Kevin Durant drops off Team USA, that's it. You know the players who are going to be on their team this upcoming summer. All right, this upcoming segment, we've got Jim Gazzaley joining us with more on some horse racing from Legal Sports Report. So stay with us here on the grid, as we'll be back right after these messages. Don't go away.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
NewsWire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Do you believe Diggs will come up big with Stroud or be the disappointment that he was with Allen in the last, year?
It's not all on Diggs as it was with the Bills. So he only needs to be a secondary piece. Remember now, he's in his 30s, Pharrell. He's in the back nine of his career. They don't need him to be super. They just need him to do a good job.
Pharrell, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Here's the question. I know hockey players are pretty superstitious. Do they start to ask themselves the question of being like, we signed Corey Perry? We did what?
No.
We signed Corey Perry? Good news, boys. We're going to the Cup Finals. Bad news, boys. We're losing.
At some point, you got to win one for Corey, right?
I guess
Get
so.
on the team and wow, this guy, we got to We got to win one here.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Jim Gonzalez with us today, as he always is on Fridays from Legal Sports Report. We're going to talk a little New York sports betting handle, also dive into Maryland sports betting as well. But we are going to begin with some horse racing news. What's going on, Jim? Great to have you back here on NewsWire.
Not much, Craig. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's begin. We have a dispute with horse racing and a contract being solved. Tell us more about the story. I don't want to ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, this was actually pretty interesting over the last week or so. Sort of, two industry titans, if you will, in the horse betting world, kind of going head to head and digging their heels in. So if we rewind a little bit to the 4th of July, actually, NYRA, the New York Racing Association, put out a statement saying that they were no longer going to be providing their racing content, their races, or the ability to watch or wager on them through any of the FanDuel properties. So that would mean the FanDuel Sportsbook, the FanDuel Racing app, and FanDuel's horse betting app, TVG. So they pulled that signal on Thursday morning last week, and it kind of was interesting to me that the two sides couldn't agree to a contract on over the cost of that. So what it boiled down to really was NYRA wanted a extra share of all handle from New York residents playing through FanDuel properties. And there already is a 5% source market fee that FanDuel has to pay on wagers placed in New York. NYRA wanted an additional percentage tacked on top of that because that original 5% tax goes straight to the state and doesn't always necessarily make its way back to NYRA, let alone the horse racing industry. So a little bit of a face-off between NYRA and FanDuel, both seemingly thinking they had a bit of leverage. NYRA, of course, is the most popular horse racing signal in the country. FanDuel, like we've talked about, Craig, just brought in close to 1 million new customers throughout the Triple Crown season. So during that first weekend of racing over the holiday, about a week and a half ago, NYRA did experience a significant decline in handle. They tried to explain it away as just a lack of horses running. There was less than 70 horses that ran on that Saturday card over the holiday this year compared to over 100 last year. So NYRA said that was in large part due to the decline was in large part due to the limited number of horses. FanDuel, they said that they didn't really experience all that big of a dip in overall handle. The handle that would be going on NYRA races just kind of got spread around to some other tracks that they were covering across the country. Now, of course, the most popular summer racing meet just kicked off yesterday up here in Saratoga. And wouldn't you know it, the two sides came to an agreement just hours before first post. It seemed like somebody blinked towards the lead up to first post yesterday, and they came to an agreement. FanDuel making a big donation to the NYRA Foundation, which helps support nonprofit businesses tied to the thoroughbred industry, as well as some backstretch initiatives for those workers on the backstretch. So the two sides coming to an agreement, essentially in the 11th hour before first post yesterday of the popular Saratoga meet. So a little bit of a crisis averted, if you will, but still, two industry titans, like I said, kind of going at it and negotiating a little bit of a content deal in the lead up to, the popular summer racing season.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, so we'll see what happens with that and stay on top of it for us, Jim. Let's move on now to this New York sports betting handle news. I know all over the United States, Jim, we're starting to get some earnings reports. And I guess it should be no surprise this time of the year. A lot of earnings reports are showing hold and money being down. Is that the case in New York with some of the sports books there?
No, quite the opposite, actually, Craig. New York has continued its run of year-over-year handle gains. In June, $1.47 billion was bet in June. Now it's up 26% from June of last year when we saw $1.17 billion bet. And the interesting thing that stuck out to me is that since the New York online sports betting market opened in January of 2022, there's only been 1 month where the market did not produce a monthly year-over-year gain in handle, and that was February 2023. Every other month, we've seen a rather sizable increase in betting from the same month during the year prior, which, obviously the largest sports betting market in the country continues to get bigger. A lot of sort of contributing factors, I think, to that. Certainly, the population is one. A lot of wealthy bettors living in New York State, probably another contributing factor to that as well. In June, we did see a little bit of a trading places at the top between FanDuel and DraftKings. In May, if you recall, DraftKings took in the most handle in New York. It was FanDuel's turn to reclaim that top spot. In June, they had 39% of the market to DraftKings 35%. What does that mean in terms of dollars? $571.3 million in bets for FanDuel. They produced $67 million in revenue from that. DraftKings, $521.6 million in handle, about $41 million in revenue. The other interesting thing coming out of New York in June was Bet Rivers. One of the smaller players in that market, obviously, because the market is dominated by the two sportsbooks that I just mentioned, FanDuel and DraftKings. But a positive month for Bet Rivers in June, approaching $70 million in handle for the month, and they were able to tick up their share of market handle by a few points in June in New York, Greg.
All right. Now, the Maryland seems to be also in the positive here, but not quite as successful as New York. Is that fair?
Yeah, certainly fair, Craig. And I think Maryland is a rather steady market that we've seen over the last handful of months. They are starting to seemingly increase their hold, the win rate for the sports books each month. And two sports books there, FanDuel and local operator Crab Sports, they both held 14% of their handle in June, which is well above the national average. We typically see news organizations and whatnot, the industry leans on this 7% industry average hold. We have seen that trend start to tick up a little bit more towards 8-9% in some markets, and a lot of that has to do with those parlay betting, like we've talked about plenty here over the last couple of weeks, Craig. But FanDuel, Crab Sports, both holding 14% in June in Maryland. Overall, about $385 million in bets during the month in Maryland. That's up 50% from June of last year. So New York, Maryland, a handful of other states now, as we're starting to see some June reports come in, also showing positive signs from June last year to this year.
All right, Jim. Great stuff as always. Have a great rest of your weekend. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Craig. You too.
All right. Carlos Alcaraz has defeated Medvedev. He moves on to the finals. We'll see who he plays against. Also, Major League Baseball, I guess, made the announcement just a short time ago. Paul Skeens will start the All-Star game for the National League. Be right back.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
NewsWire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Do you believe Diggs will come up big with Stroud or be the disappointment that he was with Allen in the last, year?
It's not all on Diggs as it was with the Bills. So he only needs to be a secondary piece. Remember now, he's in his 30s, Pharrell. He's on the back nine of his career. They don't need him to be super. They just need him to do a good job.
Pharrell coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
I mean, here's the question. I know hockey players are pretty superstitious. Do they start to ask themselves the question of being like, we signed Corey Perry? We did what?
No.
We signed Corey Perry? Good news, boys. We're going to the Cup Finals. Bad news, boys. We're losing.
At some point, you got to win one for Corey, right?
I guess
Get
so.
on the team and like, wow, this guy, we gotta win one here.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Welcome back to NewsWire. We're going to have coverage of the Wimbledon's women's finals and men's finals this weekend here for you on SportsGrid. So make sure you tune in Saturday morning and Sunday morning. We're almost there. We just found out that Carlos Alcaraz is moving on, and we'll see if Novak Djokovic does. To get an opinion on that, we bring in Kenny Ducey of Action Network to break it all down for us. Kenny, great to have you here on NewsWire. So I'm sure you were watching. Alcaraz, I guess no surprise, moves on. Djokovic has had, a couple of days off, I guess, because the last guy he was going to face ended up not playing. So does that give him any sort of advantage going into this match and even in the weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. And great to be here. I think I was a little surprised that Alcaraz moved on in the fashion that he did. He had not played really his best tennis over the last month, which is crazy to say about someone who won the French Open. But I think that the great minds around the game, they all said the same thing. Which is that he didn't play a good match against Jannik Sinner in the semifinals of the French Open. He trailed 2-1 against Alexander Zverev. He dropped his second grass court match of the season, and he didn't really play well here at the championships, but I thought today was his best match he's played in some time. Anyway, as it pertains to Djokovic in this match, yes, the rest does help him, considering this bears repeating, and I cannot say it enough, this is a 37-year-old man who underwent a knee procedure 3 weeks before the tournament. He had a torn meniscus, and whether or not, obviously it wasn't a major injury, right? It was probably a partial tear of his meniscus, but the fact remains he had a surgery, and then he decided to play Wimbledon. So he hasn't really been tested a lot with his movement, and that walkover that Alex de Minaur afforded him. Alex de Minaur, top 10 Australian, has beaten Novak Djokovic before earlier this year in January in Australia to make the top 10. He beat Djokovic. He is the best mover on tour. So I thought that was going to be a really difficult match for Djokovic. It was really going to test his knee. He's faced a lot of big hitters who just don't really make a move around the court a lot. So to get an extra day of rest and then also not have to go to war with someone who was just going to be moving him around the court, I thought was absolutely excellent for his chances here. But I think this is another match against a guy that he's 5-1 against, Lorenzo Musetti. He's pushed him 3 times, Musetti, and beaten him once. But all 3 of those matches were on clay. On hard courts, it's been a much different story. These are even faster than hard courts, so I think it's going to be even more adverse conditions for Musetti, and I would think that Djokovic wins this one pretty quick and clean. The final would be interesting against Alcaraz with the way Alcaraz played today, But in terms of his prospects for winning, they're absolutely much better now that he's had the day of rest and that he still has really not been tested on the knee too much with just a lot of guys that haven't shown up to play over the last few rounds.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the odds are telling us basically it's not bettable as far as the money line on this. Maybe there's another way to bet this on FanDuel, but Djokovic, as we just saw, minus 950 on the money line, Musetti plus 610. And you mentioned historical perspective. I mean, that's kind of where Djokovic is at this point. And players from the past, I mean, I remember that incredible run Pete Sampras has. Everybody remembers Roger Federer over the last 20 years. Incredible 8 championships, Sampras 7. Djokovic is chasing his 8th Wimbledon title. I'm not all that familiar with William Renshaw or Lawrence Doherty, but I am familiar with the others. So I guess if he wins this one, he ties Federer, and I suppose there would be no stopping him, Kenny. Like, he could probably try and break it next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar with them either. That was way before my time. So no, that's definitely something that is in play here. I mean, I think winning this on a bum knee, right, almost on 1.5 legs would be very, very impressive. And I think especially with the way Carlos Alcaraz played today, I thought last year in the final, Djokovic should have won. It was a pretty poor performance from him. I'm a little worried about, the knee. I still am. I think that, like I said, he hasn't really been pushed enough on it, and he's going to get pushed in a big way against Alcaraz. So, I also am worried the fact that he's sort of tried to incite the crowd to get against him, because that is generally what we see from Djokovic when he knows he's a little concerned and he needs a little extra to get through these matches if you want to play a psychological game. But yeah, I mean, look, 8 Wimbledons would be stellar. I think you're looking at a guy right here who's only lost 4 times on grass since 2013, which is just absolutely spectacular. And in this match today, yeah, I think the best way to bet it is the under 34.5 games. If you look at the 2 meetings they've had on quicker courts, on hard courts, Musetti's won just 9 games in 4 sets they've played. And over his career, Musetti is a 500 player on hard courts. So this is a guy that's done very good work on clay. That's why he's risen to the top 20. But this is a guy that does not have the game to play on grass. His top spin's hit with way too much forehand. He doesn't have enough force behind the serve. It's very erratic. I thought he was very fortunate to run into Taylor Fritz in the quarterfinals, who just gave that match away. Not a good player under pressure, really crumbled in that match and gave Musetti a way to win that match in the 5th. So I do think that this is a much different situation here. And Musetti, for all the work that he's done against Djokovic, all of his storied matches against Djokovic have featured blown leads. He had a 2-1 lead against the French Open. He had a 2-0 lead at the French Open when they first played a couple of years ago. And then Musetti won 1 game in the next 2.5 sets before retiring at 4-love in the 5th set on what was a phantom injury. He was not hurt. He was just his brain was maybe hurt. His feelings were hurt. But yeah, this is I think this is going to be a pretty quick match when you just look at the way that Musetti plays on faster surfaces, especially against Djokovic. Despite the fact that Djokovic may not be 100%, I would think he's probably at 85% right now. He still should be able to do this because the last few rounds he's just had the same sort of opponents who have been trying to just play a big game, hit through him, just take the match into their own hands, and it has not worked out. Rarely does against Djokovic. So I would think that this match goes under the total. That's probably the best way to play it. I did get some questions earlier today about maybe playing the first set, but I would actually think Musetti keeps the first set relatively close and then falls away.
All right, fair enough. Now, tomorrow, it's sort of a tale of 2 stories here. We're going to have a winner at Wimbledon that we didn't expect, as we don't have anyone from the top 5 playing in the final tomorrow. And by the way, odds are sort of telling us that this has potential to be close, as Barbara Krejcikova takes on Jasmine Paolini. Paolini ranks 7th. Krejcikova, if I'm not mistaken here, is this right? She's ranked 32nd going into the final here. So, I mean, look, minus 152 tell us there's a favorite, but Kenny, is there a lean here on this?
Yeah, I think the lean, I mean, it's a coward's way out. I hate doing it, but I think the lean would definitely be towards the over here. I just think both these players are very good. We see this happen in Grand Slam finals a lot, but Krejcikova was a number 2 player in the world just a few years ago. She won the French Open. Very good game for grass. And you look at Paolini on the other side having a career year. I think both these players are playing excellent tennis right now. I would definitely say the over would be the way to go in.
All right, thanks for coming on, Kenny.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
NewsWire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Do you believe Diggs will come up big with Stroud or be the disappointment that he was with Allen in the last, year?
It's not all on Diggs as it was with the Bills. So he only needs to be a secondary piece. Remember now, he's in his 30s, Pharrell. He's in the back nine of his career. They don't need him to be super. They just need him to do a good job.
Pharrell coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
I mean, here's the question. I know hockey players are pretty superstitious. Do they start to ask themselves the question of being like, we signed Corey Perry? We did what?
No.
We signed Corey Perry? Good news, boys. We're going to the Cup Finals. Bad news, boys. We're losing.
At some point, you got to win one for Corey, right?
I guess
Get on
so.
the team and like, wow, this guy, we gotta win one here.
The Bostonian versus the book.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire. Pretty big news in baseball today, huh? With Paul Skeens being named to the All-Star team, least amount of starts ever as a rookie, starting on Tuesday night. So I guess baseball got it right. That's a pretty cool story. Let's talk about some other stories that we will try to get right. It's time now for some last licks. It was a little bizarre to see Josh Jacobs leave the Raiders to go to the Green Bay Packers, especially when they had a pretty good running back there in Aaron Jones. It's like running back roulette at this point, fair to say. But needless to say, Jacobs, the decision that he made to leave a good situation with the Raiders and now maybe even go to a better situation with the Packers was basically he just said that the Raiders didn't care as much about winning and losing. Wow, what a conversation Josh Jacobs had, telling a radio show essentially that in his first year with the Raiders, they lost a game. He came from Alabama. He was all upset. And Raiders teammates of his that were veterans were like, yeah, like we're going to lose some games. So get used to it. Jacobs did not like hearing that, came to the end of his contract with Las Vegas and now has decided to take his ball to Green Bay. It still remains to be seen what kind of workload he will have, but the Packers definitely showed last year they're an up-and-coming team. And Jacobs, by the way, that's the first time I've seen him in that little picture there. What is he wearing? Number 0 there, Frank? I can't even see. Anyway, Josh Jacobs, 8. Thank you. Okay, Josh Jacobs going to be on the Packers this year. If you haven't paid attention, I know those of you like wanting fantasy football content. We're almost there, not quite there. How about this? Yesterday, an individual at a game in Major League Baseball placed a bet to have a home run hit, and it ended up happening, and then this fan ended up catching the home run as well. Now, generally speaking, I don't do a lot of, hey, this guy won a bet on the show, because you never know if this stuff is legit or not, and, even here, you could probably question it a little bit, but I would say that if there was something that would be cool to happen, let's just use it as that kind of story. If there was something that would be cool to happen at a game, it would be making a bet and then catching the home run to win your bet. Okay, so that's fair. Now, whether or not this actually happened, it's screenshots, and my producer Frank and I, we sort of like fight with, we don't fight. We just have this discussion as to whether or not we should be stamping people winning bets because you just, generally never know. And the other thing with people taking screenshots of their winning bets, do you ever see screenshots of the losing bets? You never do. So I kind of have a hard time with that. All right, Copa America this weekend at Hard Rock Stadium in South Florida. I'll be on the road as I'm headed to Texas for the All-Star game, so I'm going to miss this. But I wouldn't go anyway. And the reason why is because of the tickets. Actually, I wouldn't go because the reason why is it's soccer, and I'm not a huge soccer guy. But if there was another reason, it would be because tickets are $2,000. $2,000 to go see the Copa America final in South Florida. It seems like we get a lot of these big events here, but 2,000 is like for like an upper level ticket here even too. So I don't know necessarily that is the main reason why I wouldn't go, although I'm not here anyway. But it should be a fun match. And again, Messi drives the bus. Anything Messi does and Argentina does, there'll be a lot of Argentina fans there, a lot of Colombia fans there too. Hopefully no fights. That's not what I'm rooting for. So if you're interested this weekend, fly on in South Florida, spend your $2,000 to go see that. All right, that'll do it for our show today. Thanks again to Kenny Ducey for coming on the program. Also, Jim Ghazali from Legal Sports Report, and also Gilbert McGregor from Sporting News. Those were our guests here on the show today. As far as the rest of the day here is concerned, we've got the early line coming up next, less than 5 minutes, so stay tuned to that. Ben and Donnie. That's followed by Pharrell, who's back in the house today for Coast to Coast at 3 o'clock Eastern. He'll preview all the soccer this weekend. Also, we've got Game Time Decisions coming up at 6, and that is followed by In-Game Live Prime Time. And then tonight, it is Gabe on the late night show called Sports Rage. So make sure you stay tuned to that as well. As always, our producer of the show, Frankie B. Frankie will be producing next week as well, but not for me. Because, folks, I am actually not going to be hosting the show for a few days next week. I'm taking some time off to go to Texas for the All-Star game. So the next time you see me in this chair will be Thursday of next week. So I will be trying to catch a home run on Tuesday night. Hopefully I'll do it. If not, it's okay. But just a heads up, it'll be Joe Ranieri and Mike Blewett filling in next week. And for those of you who want to see the rest of the schedule here at SportsGrid, just download the SportsGrid app, take out your phone and scan this QR code. It's available right now in the App Store, iOS and Android. SportsGrid app completely free with all the news, notes, and information that you could ever need to learn more about our company here at SportsGrid. All right, hope you have a good weekend. Enjoy the soccer, the WNBA, and everything else that you're following, and also special programming this weekend for Wimbledon. I'll see you next week.
Nashville, help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
It was nice to at least walk down the last few holes, or at least the last hole, knowing that it was pretty much done. It's never safe, but very proud of everybody, and of course Tiro. I mean, what a week to get his first win in a few years and win by 6 in an absolutely dominant performance the way he did. It was absolutely incredible, so I couldn't be happier for him.
Certainly with not winning for 3.5 years, you kind of naturally question if you can do it again. So I'm just proud of myself to be able to get through that and play the way I did.